in our headlines on this Monday afternoon, February 13th. Tragedy continues to unfold in Turkey and Syria following last Monday's earthquake, with the official death toll standing at well over 33,000. Meanwhile, Korea's trade balance posts a deficit of some $5 billion thus far this month as global chip demand remains sluggish. And U.S. military authorities shoot down a fourth unidentified flying object in North American territory in as many days, raising security concerns. The casualty count continues to climb in Turkey and Syria as the UN Emergency Relief Coordinator says the final death toll may surpass 56,000. For more on the search and rescue operations as well as the plight of the people there, here's our Lee Seung-jae.
Miraculous rescues are still being reported almost a week after the initial earthquake. However, the death toll continues to climb in Türkiye and Syria, as the figure has now surpassed 34,000 following two massive earthquakes last Monday. Reuters say the earthquake is now the sixth deadliest natural disaster reported in the 21st century. Authorities say some 30,000 people have been killed in Türkiye, while Syria reported over 4,000 deaths. However, the WHO says the death toll from Syria may be much higher than what is being reported and predicts some 9,300 people have been killed in the country. Meanwhile, those that survived the devastation of the earthquake are facing other major issues, namely the spread of infections and cold temperatures. Experts have warned that bodies trapped in rubble could contaminate drinking water. They added that at refugee camps, there are few places with properly equipped toilets, so hygiene issues are also a concern. Looting is also becoming a problem, as dozens of looters were arrested in hard-hit areas, while rescue operations were halted due to safety concerns. Austrian, German, and Israeli rescue teams halted rescue operations due to aggressive actions from unnamed groups. Subsequently, the Austrian team resumed their work under the protection of the Turkish military. Recent analysis also showed that another earthquake with a magnitude of 7.0 or greater could strike Türkiye and Syria. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, there's a 10% chance that an aftershock of 7.0 or greater could strike the region again. It also gave a 1% chance of an earthquake with a magnitude greater than 7.8. It also adjusted up the probability that the total death toll from the earthquake will surpass 100,000 to 26%. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
As of this past Sunday, over 34,000 Turkish personnel were joined by over 9,000 personnel from 74 countries, including South Korea, for a massive search and rescue operation. Now, that being said, our foreign affairs correspondent Pae Eun-ji covers the efforts by Korea's emergency responders. To take a look.
A survivor rescued from the rubble of a collapsed building is carried out on a stretcher. Seoul's foreign ministry says Sunday that the South Korean search and rescue team rescued a 17-year-old boy and his mother, a 51-year-old woman, on Saturday evening local time. It said the boy was unconscious and that he immediately received medical care from the South Korean team before being sent to the hospital. The woman was in good health and was sent to the hospital as well. A few hours before that, the team had also rescued a 65-year-old woman by cooperating with a Turkish rescue team. The group of rescue workers from South Korea has been looking for survivors in Turkey's southernmost region of Antakya since the early hours of Thursday, joining efforts by the international community to save as many lives as possible. So far, they have now rescued a total of 8 survivors. About a week has passed since the devastating earthquake, but emergency crews in Turkey and Syria are continuing to witness miraculous rescues, many of them children. A 17-year-old girl was rescued after 159 hours under the rubble of a collapsed building, according to Turkey's Anadolu agency. On Sunday, a 9-year-old boy was pulled alive from the ruins of a building in Turkey's southeastern Gaziantep. And a 35-year-old man and his daughter, an 11-year-old girl, were also rescued on the same day in Hatay, Turkey's southernmost province. Pae Eun-ji, Arirang News.
Earlier on Sunday, military authorities over in the U.S. shot down yet another flying object over its territory. Now, this is reportedly the fourth such mission in as many days. Our defense correspondent Oh Soo-young reports.
US military forces have shot down another unidentified flying object near the Canadian border, hovering over Lake Huron. According to US congressmen who were briefed by the Defense Department, the US Air Force and National Guard shot down another aerial object on Sunday, swiftly, safely, and securely. Government officials, when questioned by media, would not comment on whether the object resembled the Chinese surveillance balloon that was shot down earlier this month, which the US intelligence community had linked to a program run by China's People's Liberation Army to spy on foreign military assets. This marks the fourth aerial object to be spotted and shot down from North American airspace this month, with the US and Canada on high alert over air incursions. Washington's Federal Aviation Administration closed airspace twice over the weekend and scrambled military jets. Canada also shut down airspace near Ontario on Sunday after an unidentified object was spotted hovering over Yukon territory. It was shot down by a US F-22 fighter jet. Canadian authorities say the object was cylindrical and smaller than the Chinese balloon discovered off the coast of South Carolina, but was similar in appearance. They say they would not speculate on the origin of the object and stop short of calling it a balloon. Amid allegations of spying on foreign powers, Beijing's foreign ministry claims its balloon shot down near South Carolina was a civilian weather balloon which had veered off course. Both US and Canadian investigators are searching for the remains of the flying objects for a full analysis. Usyang, Arirang News.
Seoul and Washington recently hosted an anti-drone drill. According to the U.S. Air Force in South Korea on Sunday, the allies last Tuesday practiced shooting down a small unmanned aircraft system at the U.S. Kunsan Air Base. They reportedly used assault rifles and a drone buster, a radio frequency jammer that can neutralize enemy drones. On the same day, Command Sergeant Major Jack Love also accompanied a patrol around the joint security area and said that the demilitarized zone on the inter-Korean border should remain a safe place for future dialogue. COVID-19 vaccinations for infants and toddlers begin today here in Korea for those aged 4 months to 6 months, that is, to 4 years old. According to the Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Pfizer vaccines made specifically for children will be offered. Officials are also calling for children with pre-existing health conditions to be vaccinated. The vaccines will be administered in 3 doses at intervals of 8 weeks. Korea's trade balance is looking to remain in the red despite findings of an annual rebound in exports for the first 10 days of this month. Our Trade Ministry correspondent Shin Ha-young has more.
South Korea has already posted an on-year rise in exports for this month, but still has a long way to go to see a trade surplus in February. The Korea Customs Service reported on Monday that the country's exports in the first 10 days of February increased almost 12% on-year to a little over $17.6 billion. However, considering the number of working days in the month, 2 more compared to a year before, the daily average outbound shipments dropped by 14.5%. This means that despite the rise, growth has slowed. By item, exports of semiconductors plunged by over 40% for those 10 days on the heels of a 6th straight month of a decline in January. Outbound shipments of computer-related equipment also dropped by over 45%. On the other hand, overseas vehicle sales jumped by almost 167% on-year, while sales of petroleum products rose by nearly 29%. By nation, exports to China saw a drop of 13.4% on-year, leading to an overall export fall as China is the biggest export market for South Korea. Exports to the United States jumped 48% from a year earlier. Meanwhile, South Korea saw imports increase 17% on-year in the first 10 days of this month to $22.6 billion, mainly driven by crude oil, gas, and coal. As a result, the country logged a trade deficit of nearly $5 billion so far in February, greater than for the same period last year, but less than the month before. South Korea, which has been posting a monthly trade deficit since March last year, logged a record high trade deficit of $12.7 billion in January. Another trade deficit for February as a whole would mark 12 months of back-to-back trade deficits. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
Foreign investors are expanding their presence in the South Korean stock market. According to the Financial Supervisory Service on this Monday, offshore investors net purchased some $4.8 billion worth of listed local stocks in January, the highest since September 2013. Now, this is the fourth month in a row that foreigners purchased more local shares than they sold. As of the end of January, foreign investors' combined stock assets stood at around $500.2 billion, or almost 27% of the market cap. By region, investors in the U.S. net purchased the largest amount with $1.2 billion, followed by investors in Luxembourg and the UK. In sports news, the Kansas City Chiefs took the trophy for this year's Super Bowl, which is set to be the event of the year for American football. Our Ian Jin has the highlights.
The Kansas City Chiefs have been crowned Super Bowl champions. Despite the Chiefs trailing for much of the first 3 quarters of the game and having some nerve-wracking moments checking on Patrick Mahomes' ankle injury, the team took home the Super Bowl for the 3rd time in its history. Super Bowl 57 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles kicked off at 4:30 p.m. on Sunday local time at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Starting the game were quarterbacks Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs and Jalen Hurts of the Eagles, the first time in the history of the Super Bowl to have 2 black quarterbacks starting the game. The first quarter got off to a flying start with both teams scoring touchdowns on their opening drives, a feat not seen since Super Bowl 32. Hurts orchestrated a perfect play that ended with a 1-yard quarterback sneak for the first touchdown of the game, giving the Eagles a 7-0 lead, to which Mahomes wasted no time responding with an 18-yard touchdown pass. A fumble by Hurts gave the Chiefs the lead in the second quarter, but he quickly made up for it with his second touchdown of the game. The Chiefs had a scare when Mahomes limped off the field after injuring his ankle on his final play of the second quarter, but came back stronger after halftime to lead the Chiefs on a touchdown drive to start the second half. The Eagles stayed in the lead through the third quarter, and it wasn't until the fourth quarter when Mahomes led a late offensive surge, making 2 plays that led to touchdowns, which was topped off by the Chiefs' Harrison Butker booting a 27-yard field goal in the closing seconds to win the game. American football fans around the world cheered from the strong start of the game to the eventful last moments. And there were also those who were more excited about pop icon Rihanna taking the stage for the halftime show, during which she revealed her second pregnancy. Ian Jin, Arirang News.
And on the entertainment front, K-pop boy band Tomorrow by Together is setting records after ranking within the top 3 on the Billboard's 200 chart for the 2nd week in a row. Now, TXT is the only Korean act after BTS to feature in the top 3 in back-to-back weeks. According to Billboard on Sunday, the group's 5th mini-album, the name chapter Temptation, came in 3rd place this week on its 200 chart, which ranks the most popular albums in the US. The group sold over 2 million copies within the first week of the album's release, the fastest among any K-pop group. TXT also came in 1st place across 4 main music programs here last week and ranked 1st on the weekly Oricon album chart in neighboring Japan. The presence of K-pop artists in the global fashion scene is expanding. Our culture correspondent Song Yu-jin covers this phenomenon.
K-pop stars are no longer just sweeping music charts and trophies. They've become front and center of the fashion industry. It's no longer a question of whether we'll see K-pop artists sitting on the front row of fashion shows as the faces of luxury brands. It's now who will be the next to do so. This is, of course, thanks to the K-pop boom that erupted in the 2010s, as well as other breakout K-content like Squid Game and Parasite. And the artists themselves have just the right mix of skills that brands are looking for.
I think the fact that these K-pop stars are musical talented, digitally savvy, and fashion icons, I think they have the perfect mix that consumers are looking for. And because they're able to identify with consumers everywhere.
K-pop stars these days actively interact with their fans. This has strengthened the bond between them, making fans want to follow what their celebrities do and wear even more.
At last season's Paris Fashion Week, Dior ranked #1 of all shows in terms of media impact value, a term that assigns a dollar value to every post, interaction, or article regarding the event. 10% of Dior's media impact value was from Korean stars. The growing domestic market is another reason why mega brands are seeking K-pop partnerships. A report by financial services company Morgan Stanley shows Koreans were the world's biggest spenders on personal luxury goods per capita last year. K-pop artists are also a great partner for brands looking to expand their customer base.
To reach this younger generation, you need something fresh and new and different and innovative. And I think, this younger generation cares a lot about authenticity, and K-pop stars just feel authentic because they're fun. They're, like I said, they're fashionable.
And experts say we'll continue to see more brands join hands with K-pop acts.
Luxury brands are searching for new hotbeds. East Asia, where K-pop is sensational, is one such region. These companies will want to expand their influence in the region by discovering and collaborating with more Korean artists.
Drawing big crowds and generating an online buzz, Korean talents are becoming one of the most important celebrity voices in fashion. 송유진, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, on Korea's campaign against cancer, researchers here have marked some notable advances in identifying the causes of pancreatic cancer to possibly allow for early diagnosis and effective treatment. Our Chung Won-ju explains.
Pancreatic cancer is difficult to diagnose early with ultrasound and blood tests because the pancreas is located deep inside the body. Also, many pancreatic cancer patients don't show symptoms until the cancer has grown and spread to nearby blood vessels and organs. The 5-year survival rate for all cancer patients in South Korea is 71.5%, while pancreatic cancer has a survival rate of only 15.2%. This is because most patients aren't diagnosed until the cancer is inoperable. It's also because the exact cause of pancreatic cancer isn't identified, and patients are administered anti-cancer drugs that prove ineffective.
At the time of diagnosis, in about 40% of pancreatic cancer patients, the cancer has spread to the liver or bones, and about 30% of patients have blood vessel invasion in nearby organs and therefore cannot undergo surgery.
South Korean researchers have become the first in the world to succeed in classifying pancreatic cancer into 6 types based on cause, which makes it possible to develop customized treatments. After analyzing the genetic proteome of cancer tissue and blood samples obtained from 150 actual pancreatic cancer patients, scientists found that the genes and signaling pathways that cause the disease differ according to 6 types.
We confirmed that pancreatic cancer can be classified into 6 subtypes, not just one type of cancer, and that each subtype is caused by different molecular mechanisms.
The research team also verified through animal experiments that each type of pancreatic cancer has different causes and characteristics. According to their analysis, among the 6 types, the one with the worst treatment prognosis has high cancer cell proliferation and high metastasis, and its survival rate is 1/3 lower than types whose prognosis would be considered good.
We were able to identify the subtype that has the poorest treatment results. Patients in this subtype showed invasion signals and increased cell proliferation, but lower immune signals compared to those in other subtypes.
The research team transferred the pancreatic cancer classification technology to a growing small business so it can be used in the medical field and hope to develop customized treatments tailored to each subtype. 정은주, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. Starting with the war in Ukraine, a local report indicates that over the last 2 weeks, the death rate of Russian soldiers has reached its highest level since the outbreak of the conflict. According to a Ukrainian military report, the average number of Russian soldier deaths rose to 824 per day over the last week. That's up from 701 the week before. Citing the report, the UK's Ministry of Defence on Sunday said the latest number is 4 times higher than that reported between June and July last year. The ministry highlighted a lack of coordination, trained personnel and resources as reason for the high casualty rate. The UK ministry also noted that Ukraine too continues to suffer a high number of losses. The ministry has said the numbers are likely accurate, although it cannot verify Ukraine's methodology. Western officials, meanwhile, estimate that Russia's total death count may soon reach 200,000. Meanwhile, the German capital of Berlin is set for a political change following a weekend election on Sunday local time. The latest polls suggest the city is moving away from its 25 years of control by the SPD Social Democrats and is swinging to the Conservative Christian Democrats, or CDU. Exit polls found the CDU are in the lead with 28% of the vote. If the results are confirmed, the CDU will still likely need a coalition to take the capital's mayoral seat. The election was a court-ordered repeat vote after the previous one was declared null and void. The botched September 2021 election was hit by irregularities such as insufficient or incorrect ballot cards and hours-long lines. Moving on to Poland, where a record crowd of almost 9,000 people gathered for the 20th International Winter Swimming Rally. Taking place in the northwestern town of Mielno on Sunday local time, the event saw swimmers from nations including Germany, Ireland and Hungary plunge into the Baltic Sea with water temperatures of 2 degrees Celsius. The traditional cold swim is called morzowanie in Polish, and swimmers are nicknamed walruses. The icy plunge is meant to improve health and boost immunity. Sunday's event also included a parade through the local town, fitness classes, and a jacuzzi and sauna zone. And finally, Bolivia held its 21st Festival of the Bands, featuring a performance by some 5,000 musicians. Taking place in the mining town of Oruro on Saturday local time, the festival's highlight was a 2-hour-long show under the guidance of 4 alternating conductors. The festival was attended by Bolivian President Luis Arce alongside tourists and local residents. The Festival of the Bands forms part of the larger and older Oruro Carnival, or Anata, an Andean and Christian fusion festival. Its origins can be traced back to the ancient Ito festival, celebrated by the indigenous Uru people to honor the local Waka gods. Matthew Ashley, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. Conditions will vary depending on where you are today. Starting with snow, heavy snow in mountainous regions in Gangwon-do province will continue into tomorrow morning with up to 20 centimeters expected and a heavy snow advisory issued. And despite some precipitation, Chungcheong, Namdo, and Jeollabuk-do provinces are seeing bad dust levels that will remain high all day. So let's keep a face mask that can filter dust at hand today. But the air quality should improve along with chillier air that's forecast to blow in from tonight. The morning temperatures will go 4 to 7 degrees lower tomorrow morning. Rain has let up in southern provinces, but Jeju Island will see more rain into tonight. And afternoon highs are slightly higher today, topping out in the double figures in the southern parts of the country, with more clouds and sunshine this afternoon. Now, typical late winter weather is in the forecast this week, with East Coast regions to see another band of heavy snow tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. With that in mind, here's a look at the weather conditions around the globe.
That ends our afternoon newscast, but do stay tuned for a panel session coming up next. See you in a bit.